He had not allowed for the weight. The cold he had anticipated. The water's sluggish buoyancy, this too he had considered. The darkness? The lantern does well enough, and his memory allows for shortfalls in sight. But the weight? This is something else altogether. The lantern itself is manageable. It is bound to his wrist with thick twine, affording movement in both hands, but it pulls down uncomfortably on his arm, and the salt water stings where the twine has already rubbed the skin. The ropes looped under each armpit, one for the salvage, one to raise him again, are cumbersome, but they help to balance his body as he teeters along the bed. The sinking weights, too, although bulky, can be endured. The problem is the harness. Strong tin plate, domed and airy around his head. Further down it constricts his torso like an unforgiving corset. On deck it did not feel so heavy. Below the surface, however, the restrictive leather suit, the iron-hooped skeleton that pinches meanly, together with the pressure of water and the winter currents. He will demand more money once the job is done. Luck has been with him so far this night. The sky's inky cradle is starred, the moon full and fat. During the storm he took careful note of his surroundings. The ship finally succumbed on the shoals of two small islands separated by an isthmus, their inlands pitted with stone ruins. In the moonlight these ruins shone white, a beacon for their small sailboat, and while the wreck has since settled on its side in the December squalls, the starboard beam end still touches the waves. It was not difficult to find. So why is it he feels he has been led here? Thankfully the wreck is only partially sunk in the shallows. He has not used this apparatus before, and will not venture any deeper than he must. 20 feet below the surface. No danger there, he tells himself, and he knows exactly where to look. Under careful instruction, the object he seeks was safely hidden within the starboard bow, away from the other shipments tightly packed in the hold. He only hopes his luck stays true, that the crate has not strayed along the seabed, that no one else has managed to retrieve it. The icy water needles his legs and arms. Cocooned in the heavy suit, he descends further, breathing with effort, tasting the sharp taint of metal. The air pipes leading from the harness to the surface are long, and he imagines them stretching behind him like a hangman's rope. He holds the lantern in front of his body, looks through the eyeglass of the harness's dome, relieved to see the shadow of the ship's ribs. Down he goes, then, searching, squinting into the murk. He thinks he hears a sound below him, something low and plaintive. He tilts his head, feels his ears pop, continues on. His feet land. Beneath them, shifting grit. He angles his head and tries to look down, but, carefully. Too sudden a movement, he was warned, and the water will seep through the harness. Slowly, yes, slowly. There, the corner of something. Using the ball of his foot, he pushes himself off, back into the current. Then he sinks again, making contact with the seabed, raising the lantern to eye level. 6 feet or so from the ship's remains, he just makes out the dark corners of a crate. The blood pulses loudly in his ears. This is it, he is sure. He edges slowly forward, puts one leg behind him, then another, his feet dragging in the sand. He jumps as something brushes against his legs, and lowering the lantern, he watches seaweed dance around his calves. The crate balances precariously on a large rock. He inches closer, raises the lantern again. The X he painted on the crate when the ship left Palermo is clear, even in this deep aquatic dark. For a moment he marvels at how easy all this was, but then the lantern flickers and dips before flaring once again, and he knows that now is not the time to dawdle. Releasing the twine from his wrist, he places the lantern between two hunks of wreckage so it will not turn up in the current, then unhooks one of the ropes from his arms and begins the painstaking task of securing the crate. He must be careful. There is no room for mistakes, and the rock is a blessing, it seems, for without it he would have struggled to lift the crate from the seabed at all. As he works, small fish dash and dart about him. At one point he stops, strains to hear within the tin plates of the harness. Is that singing? No, it is the water sickness, it must be. Was he not told that staying under too long can be deadly? But so soon. He works fast now, as fast he is able, with the harness weighing him down. He wraps the rope around the crate 4 times, and though his fingers are stiff with cold, he ties the knot so tight the rope will need cutting free. When he is satisfied, he pulls sharply on it, once, twice, signalling to the surface. The length jumps, slackens, becomes taut. Then, triumphant, he watches the crate ascend in a cloud of billowing sand. He hears the muffled groan of wood, the sluggish surge of stirring water, and, so quietly he believes he has imagined it, the soft, haunting, almost whisper of a woman, sighing.